Hey, welcome back to the channel. Ed Paget here. And today we're going to talk about snapping hip, also known as dancer's hip. What is that? Well, essentially it's a clunking noise that can happen at the front of your hip when you lower your leg down, especially if you're lying on your back. It can be painful or it can be non-painful. But if you have this clunk in the front of your hip when you move your legs, this video is for you. So what causes snapping hip? Well, it's actually a muscle that's flicking over a bone. So this is your spine here, this is your pelvis, these are the top parts of your leg. The muscle comes from the spine and joins another muscle that comes on the inside of the hip here. And they have a tendon that comes over the front of the pelvis onto the leg. So when these things tense, they can lift the leg up like this, so like you're taking a step up on something. Or if they're fixed and you're lying on your back, for example, they can actually pull the spine forwards like this. But where it crosses this front of the pelvis here, you can actually have a bit of irritation through one of the bursas or where the actual tendon just crosses the bone. You can get a little bit of scarring in that tendon, and that can be felt if you put your hand on there and you move your leg as this flicking over that bone. So in most people, it's pretty benign. It's not a problem. It's usually just a noise or a clunk when they're doing certain exercises. But for some people, it can actually become quite painful. And so we need to know what to do about it. Well, the first thing we're going to do is stretch out that muscle. And it's called the iliopsoas. And I'm just going to put a diagram of it here. And so you can see where it comes from and where it goes to. And you can also see that it needs to be stretched into extension. And I'll show you what that is. So a hip extension is when this part of your leg goes behind your pelvis. So right now there's a straight line between my shoulder, hip, and knee. I'm going to put one leg out in front of me and I'm just going to simply push forward like this. Now you can see that my shoulder and hip are in line, but my knee is behind, so my hip has gone into extension. That is stretching the psoas muscle and the iliacus muscle and that common tendon they have called the iliopsoas tendon. So if I was to go forwards and backwards like this would actually create a really nice stretch on that muscle. But the top part of the muscle is attached to the spine and it can rotate and it can side bend. So we need to get that area stretched as well. All right, so there's two ways to do that. We can either stretch the top part, then the bottom part, or we can stretch the bottom part, then the top part. And we're going to go for stretching the bottom part, then the top part. So I want you to set yourselves up with one leg in front of you. Slide your hip forwards, and as you slide the hip forwards, we don't want your lower back extending too much, okay? We want you to tuck your pelvis just a little bit, maybe even tense your butt muscle here to keep the stretch on the top part of the hip. So now we're into this position here. We're feeling a stretch through here, through this area. I want you to take your hands out in front of you and simply rotate one way and then rotate the other way, and you'll feel different stretching sensations in the front of your hip. This is because we are moving that top part of that psoas whilst we're doing this. And so we're sort of stretching the muscle from here to here by taking the leg behind us, but then stretching it even more by getting that spine to rotate. Now we want to take that muscle and we're going to side bend the upper back. So we're going to do that by taking the hands up over the head and simply doing like a big wave motion. Constantly tucking the pelvis, keeping your butt muscle strong, pushing that hip forward, and now you're stretching that psoas all the way up through here, and then we're actually shortening a little bit from the top, but we're actually stretching it from the bottom in this position. So that psoas is getting a great workout in these positions. Is to take one of these bands. So I've got, they're called a hip resistance band. And these things are generally for tying around your knees like this and then doing exercises like this. But we're not going to use it for that. We're going to put it around one leg. So I'm standing on it, and then I'm going to loop it through the other foot. Now from here, I'm simply going to take my leg up and back down. So this is really a specific hip flexor stretch. Okay, up and back down. Now keeping everything straight, and I can use my arms, make it a little bit more dynamic. Up and hold for a split second, and then back down. So that is a bottom up. I am moving my foot from the bottom and bringing it up type movement. But now we're going to do a slightly different exercise for that psoas as well. This one, from my understanding, is a little bit more functional than that one. That one's more a resistance training. It's going to make the muscle stronger. This one is going to make the muscle more coordinated, and it's going to involve the whole body. Okay, so I want you to imagine that you're walking and you're essentially going to slip a little bit on ice. You would slip forward. This foot, for example, would slip, and my psoas muscle here, my abdominals, and basically my muscles on the front chain are all going to catch that movement and then come back. So that is the same movement we're going to do to actually exercise these muscles, because that's how they work and function. So the movement is this. I'm going to stand on my right leg here. I'm going to slide my left leg forward. Try not to bend my knee too much, okay? So I'm not doing this. I'm moving my hips forward, and I'll feel a stretch through the front of my body, and then I'm going to tense those muscles to come back, okay? So this is the first thing. It's like a little step and touch, step and touch with my foot. Now I'm going to bring the hands in. The hands are going to provide some momentum to put extra stress into my abdominal muscles. And you'll feel this as you do this, it will start to fire up more muscles around your hip. Okay, so at the moment I'm still touching. I'm touching my foot down, touching my foot down. To make it harder, I can do it without touching. So simply keeping the foot in the air. This is going to be a very good Iliopsoas, rectus, abdominis, that's the abdominal muscles, hip flexors, groin muscles. We're going to get them all working with this exercise. And you can vary the speed as well, so you can go slowly out, faster back, slowly out, faster back, to get more of a fast twitch contraction into that psoas and into those muscles on the front chain there. Okay, so you've got 2 exercises to strengthen those muscles and 1 advanced exercise to lengthen those muscles to stop snapping hip. I'm going to wrap this video up now, and if you've enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, but also click on that notification bell and send my channel to a friend who you think will enjoy this content as well. Thank you so much for doing those things. Your help makes a huge difference. Also, you may know I help people recover from illness and injury using a combination of specific exercises and lifestyle medicine. But I also have a focus on scoliosis. If you have scoliosis, I want to tell you about the amazing community we're building over on Facebook. And I'd like you to join our group, which is where a lot of the action and interaction with my community happens. Just follow the link in the description below or in the first pinned comment. Stay tuned for my next video, which will be up soon. See you next time.